Well, big news coming in here on Mirror Now. Vaccine for children has got the approval. Subject expert panel has recommended the use of Covaxin. The expert panel has approved Covaxin for children. Final nod from Drugs Controller, however, is awaited. Covaxin now approved for children between the age group of 2 to 18 years. Remember, this is a single-dose vaccine. And with this, many parents of young children will be extremely relieved to know that just when schools across India are opening, at the same time, you also will now have a vaccine for children. The final nod, however, is awaited. That is to come from the Drugs Controller of India. This is big news we're sharing on Mirror Now this afternoon. What we are sharing with our viewers right now is a big development with regards to vaccine. Now, children between the age group of 2 to 18 years, in all likelihood, will be able to get a vaccine. Covaxin has been approved for emergency use. Subject expert panel has recommended the use of Covaxin for children. Now remember, this will be applicable for all those children who are between the age of 2 to 18 years. Covaxin is a single-dose vaccine that will now be in use in India for children as well. Remember, across the globe, many countries have already started vaccinating children. This was not done here in India. For the first time, one of the vaccines, that is the Covaxin, Bharat Biotech Covaxin, is approved for emergency use. The final nod is yet to come from Drugs Controller of India. Dr. Rajiv Das Gupta is joining us on the phone line. Good afternoon, Mr. Das Gupta. Shall we look at this as a welcome step? Because now we are going to be able to vaccinate our children. 2 to 18 years of age, children will be now qualifying for a vaccine. How do you look at this development, sir?
Yes, this is certainly a welcome development. It has been on the anvil for some time. The trials were given the green signal. The green signal was given to initiate the trials. So this is certainly the next logical step. However, the strategy for programmatic rollout is waiting to be made public. And finally, a lot of what's going to happen on the ground depends on those strategies.
Yes, absolutely. In terms of accessibility, availability, affordability, is there anything, Dr. Das Gupta, that you can share with us?
Well, this is, let's be clear at the outset that this is not a prerequisite to opening schools and educational institutions or childcare centers such as the Anganwadi centers. That certainly is not a prerequisite nowhere in the world, largely. So therefore, this should not be linked necessarily. Also because we have a very, very large child population. Our birth cohorts are very large. So effectively covering a reasonable population is also going to take time programmatically. So it's not that overnight a whole lot of children will get immunized. That's something to remember as far as the links with the schools and childcare centers are concerned. However, whether this will follow the same pattern of distribution and access of free public versus paid private, those are the strategies we will have to wait a bit to see.
Right, but this is indeed welcome news. My colleague Avni Raja also joining us with more information on this. Yes, Avni, over to you.
That's right. Let me just take you through some of the details here that have come in with respect to this emergency use authorization that has come in for Covaxin for children. Now, essentially, it says that it has been approved for the age group of above 2 to less than 18 years for restricted use, and they are subject to certain conditions, and this includes that the firm should continue the study as per the approved clinical trial protocol. The firm should provide updated information going forward as well. well. So that it needs to continue. The firm should also supply the safety data and submit the safety data as well every 15 days for the first 2 months and monthly thereafter. So this is some of the points and the risk management plan as well. So these are some of the points that have been put forth in terms of the Covaxin and it is the use for children, Afrida.
Yes, so then again, this is extremely important, like you mentioned, that here we are looking at a single-dose vaccine, the Bharat Biotech's Covaxin. Now, as of now, authorized for emergency use. We are still waiting for a formal approval from the Drugs Controller Authority of India. Now, what we are also given to understand is the exact process and the modalities of rollout not yet decided. Avni, anything on that front that we can tell our viewers on how this is likely to be dispersed?
Well, Afrida, so what usually happens is once this emergency use authorization, the approval has come in from this end, of course, the final approval has to come in from the drugs controller as well. And it is only after that comes in, although that is just, a procedural rather. And once that comes in, then the actual administration of the vaccine would start. And of course, we'll have to wait for the government, the center then to put out any kind of protocol or outline that needs to be followed as they've done in the past as well. So we'll have to wait and see as to how long now this will take. Shouldn't be too long if we look at past experience as well, Afrida.
Yes, thank you, Avni, for joining us. Dr. Anand Ban, researcher of the Global Health and Bioethics and Health Policy, joining us on the phone line. Good afternoon, Dr. Ban. As somebody who's been very closely associated with, the entire issue of immunization in India, what can you tell us about this move? It was, of course, much awaited. Many anxious parents like myself was waiting for an announcement like this, especially since the schools have opened.
Yeah, thank you for having me. So, of course, the news is welcome. It's a unique news in the sense that there's actually, to my knowledge, no vaccine yet for COVID-19 which is available at such a wide age range in the pediatric population. As you would know, most pediatric approvals so far globally have been in kids about 12 years of age. So since the SEC has decided that they are satisfied with the data for kids above 2 years of age, hopefully that data is strong enough to indicate that confidence. And, it goes back to the issue that we haven't yet seen trial data in the public domain. And especially with kids, as you would understand, parents will be apprehensive even though there's been an announcement. So I think it is a good idea for that to be transparently available so that it builds public confidence. The next step, of course, would be building the pathway to try to figure out how are we going to make it accessible to the pediatric population, how will it be delivered, because the dosage, and the gap between the two doses is also different from the adult dosage from what I understand. So this will take some time to get figured out. As we all know, the WHO approval is also currently, WHO is looking at the data for the adult clinical trial. So that once that comes through, perhaps that will also add to the mix. And certainly the company should go to the WHO as well because it is in a unique position of being able to offer a vaccine for about 2 years of age.
Yes, Dr. Ban, you mentioned, the fact that parents, of course, would be hugely apprehensive. They might have doubts and fears about whether to get the vaccine for their kids. Is there anything on safety and efficacy that you would like to share at this point?
Yeah, again, we have to remember that the way vaccines are usually designed, they might be slightly different for children and they might be different for adults. This is one example of a vaccine which is now being used or at least proposed to be used for both the pediatric population and the adult population. Of course, kids have different physiologies, hence understanding safety and efficacy for kids is different, especially for younger kids. As the kid grows older, about 12 years, 13, 14 years, then they're almost adolescents and sort of young adults, right? So this is why having data which is specific, data which is adequate, and data which is transparently available for people to look at, and that will build the trust and confidence. which is why I'm keen that this needs to be done quickly, so that whatever the SEC has seen, it is also available in the public domain, and that will help build the advocacy for getting parents and families to agree. And of course, this is in line with our plan to open up schools where they have not been opened yet.
Right. Dr. Rajiv Dasgupta, you were mentioning that ours is a country where the pediatric population is particularly high in large numbers, and therefore the whole disbursal system, the way the vaccines are distributed across states, that again remains to be seen. Is there anything that you would like to suggest that going forward, what kind of distribution network do you envisage for the rollout of the Covaxin for children?
And as also Dr. Bhan was seeking to explain, that approvals and production is one thing, and then the government, particularly if it's coming free, and that's what at least the assumption is at the moment for the majority, that the fund has to be committed, sufficient quantities are to be available. There's introducing a new vaccine is an immensely complicated logistical exercise. So shelf space has to be created. Cold chains have to be, taken into account. Cold chain capacities. So all kinds of programmatic and logistical challenges are involved, and the blueprint would be underway. So much of the vaccination program, the success of the vaccination program, will depend upon how well we are able and how quickly we are able to recalibrate the logistics of it.
Yes, I also have with me on the phone line Dr. Sunila Garg joining us. Dr. Garg, good afternoon. Do you have any particular concerns now that we see that a vaccine for children being announced? We are talking about the issue of not just production but also distribution. This is a very large pediatric population that we have in this country. What are your first thoughts after this announcement, Dr. Garg?
See, first of all, I'll say it's a positive news that we have got a vaccine for the children. But only thing, my concern as a public health person is that we have, right now we have done 95.89 crore immunizations with regard to COVID-19 vaccination. We still have a long way to go. So with regard to children, I'm from the very beginning, I'm saying that from a public health perspective, we need not immunize all the children, because children, especially when we talk of 2 years to 12 years on till that point of time, they get the infection and they'll recover very fast. But we need to look at children between 12 to 18 who are obese, who are comorbids and all that. We must do a smart and strategic strategy for immunization. So that will take care of the vaccine for the whole of country also. And we need to divert these vaccines to those who require the most. It is very good thing that we have got the approval. It allays anxiety in minds of parents also. But right now, there is no need to go for universal immunization for the children.
Yes.
Rather, we need to focus only on those who require that is, and most probably it's the children who are between 12 to 18 years of age.
Yes, that's a very valid point, Dr. Garg, that it should go to those who need it the most. There must be a smart strategy in how it is distributed. It doesn't necessarily have to be universal. Now, will it happen smoothly along with the adult vaccination, Dr. Garg? Because again, there would be issues of the availability of trained staff, you feel. Vaccination centers also would have limited capacity, storage, etc. Are there concerns around those areas as well?
Very good question. Basically, we have got our universal immunization program in place. Already we have people who are immunizing children. So it's no longer a different kind of a vaccine. It's a similar vaccine to what we have got, in UIP program. So basically, we will be administering, this vaccine to the children in the similar manner. And, across the country, we have got cold chain points to the tune of about 29,000 plus in number. And those cold chain points will be used for storage, because we only have difference in the quantity of vaccine which has to be given, but the interval is about 28 days. So we don't have to worry that, the vaccines and the UIP program are also given at the gap of around 28 days. So that will be, that our UIP program is one of our very, very plus points with regard to, vaccination across the country. So that will serve as a base, and that will serve as a kind of rather that is our backbone, I will say that. So basically, we don't have to worry at all. India's got a very strong infrastructure with regard to childhood vaccination. So this will fit into that only.
Mm-hmm. Right. Thank you, Dr. Garg, for joining us. Let me go across to Rakesh Mishra, ex-CCMB Director and Virologist. Dr. Mishra, your first thoughts after this announcement. What we were discussing is that there is an existing network when it comes to children. After all, children are used to going to get their immunization in their early years. This age group of 2 to 18, which now qualifies for Covaxin, how do you see this helping us in combating COVID-19?
This is fantastic. I mean, you can't ask for anything than this for fight against COVID because we know that vaccines are very effective. But 30% of the country was not getting vaccine because they are young. And now this means that everybody can get vaccine 2 year plus. And these are the people now, schools are opening, activities opening. Vaccinated when they're young, a set of vaccines. So we have all the infrastructure and acceptance of these things. So which is very, very important. So I think we are making one big progress, big step in fight the pandemic. And I'm really excited. I think this is we should implement as soon as large scale as possible once it is there already established. So I think we are all set to go and maybe we can get out of this pandemic more effectively.
Yes, but Dr. Mishra, let's face it, there will be parents with doubts and fears. There will be apprehensions on whether it could cause any side effects, what is the level of safety and efficacy. And we are talking about really small children because the starting age group is 2 to 18. So what would you like to tell those parents who might have questions in their mind about whether they should go ahead and take the vaccine or not? Because as we know, this is not mandatory. These decisions are always left optional for parents.
I agree. And every time a new treatment or product or vaccine comes, there will be hesitancy, so that is where the communication becomes very, very important. We must convey the message. And the key thing about the message is to share the data, scientific data, which shows that this is safe. So that's, the vaccine approval is not given based on just speculation. It's given based on data. If that is there, and children, by the way, they have very strong system to manage. Problems come with older people where immune system is unbalanced and things like that. So I think for once this test has been done, trial has been done, it will be safe. But you said correctly, we have to convince the parent, which means we have to communicate along with the data. And just without data, just saying it is safe is one way. But if you say that here is the information based on that, we are saying that it is safe, it should be. And all of us have to speak out so that people take, because in the end, that is going to be, vaccine is a social thing. It's not just for individual. So large number of people have to take as soon as possible.
Yes.
Then only we'll be able to come out of this.
Yes.
Otherwise, virus will get
Absolutely.
a chance to come with new variants.
Right. Dr. Mishra, like you rightly said, this would now ensure that entire families get vaccinated, because this literally covers all age groups now. That 2 to 18 years of age group is also allowed to take a vaccine. It literally means that practically the entire population, barring those below 2 years of age or the newborns, you have the entire population now in India qualifying for a vaccine. Whether there will be hesitancy when it comes to kids remains to be seen, whether there's enough awareness created and data, transparent data shared in order to steer clear of any doubts and fears. That is something that will be important going forward. Thank you so much, Dr. Rakesh Mishra, for joining us. Let's take a short break. News and updates continue on the other side. Stay with us.